Deep Throat is the pseudonym given to the secret informant who provided information to Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein of the Washington Post in 1972 about the involvement of U.S. President Richard Nixon's administration in what came to be known as the Watergate scandal. Well, as most of you know, the judge has been investigating a DFS scandal, the scandal of Big Sauce Williams. And guess what? I have found my own deep throat. Let's start the show. This episode of DG's Courtroom is sponsored by Draft, a daily fantasy app where your chances of winning are almost 3 times better than on FanDuel or DraftKings. On Draft, it's draft day every day. You can do a simple snake draft for one day whenever you want. Drafts take just minutes to complete. Download Draft now. Be sure to enter the promo code DFBPOD when you download to get a 100% deposit bonus. And with that, we are off. Welcome to the show for Friday, March 24th, 2017. I'm your host, Daniel Green. You can find me on Twitter at DanielAGreen1. I have a nice little show in store for you, I think, for this glorious Friday. And depending on what site you're playing tonight, it's either an 8-game slate on DraftKings or a 10-game slate on FanDuel. And that's because, as always, DraftKings is just more innovative and more proactive. You know, they think more proactively than FanDuel. So what DraftKings has done, which is something beautifully, they have chopped off the 2 late games on the slate on Friday. There's 2 10:30 p.m. Eastern games. One is Sacramento Golden State, where Golden State's a 17.5 favorite, and the other is Minnesota and the Lakers. And if you know anything about DFS, Golden State and the Lakers have been trolling us all year long. So this is fantastic. DraftKings just chopped those 2 games off the slate, and it made it a nice, beautiful, manageable 8-game slate. Now, FanDuel could never think that, can never get that creative. So all 10 games are still on FanDuel's slate. But something really, really unique and creative that I'm really down for Friday. So the judge will be playing a lot more on DraftKings than he will on FanDuel. And normally, I probably play 80% of my, 80 at least, if we're talking proportions, I probably play 80% of my money on FanDuel and 20% on DraftKings. So I will mix it up on Friday. Very cool. Good job, DraftKings. So as I mentioned leading off the show, I have been doing some digging around because if you listened to the podcast a few days ago, something really fishy went on, and that's Big Sauce Williams of Phoenix a couple days ago. We heard nothing all day, right? He was going to play. First of all, he's been super consistent. I think the last 12 games, he's had 9 double-doubles. And since the All-Star break, he's been a rock-solid consistency monster in terms of DFS, and it's very fair price. He was a really solid play a couple days ago, and he was only 3% owned. We heard nothing all day long in terms of injury news, and then the game tips off, and then all of a sudden the second quarter starts, and then we hear hear from Basketball Monster Fantasy Labs that, oh yeah, Big Sauce Williams is not going to play today due to gastro whatever. I guess he had a stomach issue, and it was just really fishy, and it didn't make sense because he should not have been 3% owned on that slate. Now, did some digging around because it just didn't make sense to me. And now I didn't find anything specific regarding Big Sauce Williams, but I did find some things out that I did want to share with you guys because, again, I think part of this podcast, while a lot of it is obviously who should we play each night? Do we play Beal or Booker? Beal or Booker? That's not, again, this show is more than that. If you want a Beal or Booker freaking show, go to Roto Trash, go to Sleepy Grinders. They will provide you all the Beal or Booker analysis that you can ask for. This podcast, I want to talk more strategy and more things going on in the DFS industry, and also make it more entertaining. So again, and as well as obviously we will go over the slate and go over the top plays as well. But I think it's important when something is going on in the DFS industry that impacts the regular player, which is what 99% of us. I think it's something that we should talk about. So, and first of all, there's nothing more important in NBA DFS than injury news, especially late in the season. I mean, honestly, if you have one guy who's going to be injured or going to rest, or a team's tanking and a guy's going to sit out, that can change the entire slate. So this is what I did some digging, and I think if you've been listening to the Judge, listening to this podcast for a while, you know that I do I have a daily phone call with about 5 or 6 other guys who play DFS professionally. It's basically their job. So I have a call with them every day for about 45 minutes to an hour, and we talk about a variety of things. But so initially when the Big Sauce Williams thing, and first of all, we talk about tanking and injury news and all that stuff all the time anyway. But I've never, we never really had an in-depth conversation about it. I guess in terms of where we're getting our news. And so I brought this to them, and really, especially the why Big Sauce Williams was 3% the other night. And then, if you look at just other things like the Cavs guys a couple nights ago were somewhat low owned against Denver, and they all put up a stinker. And there was something fishy with that line going on all day. If you just look at the Vegas lines, every few days you'll notice some things that are pretty fishy. Anyway, but out of my group that we talked to, no one really could shed any additional light. Nothing that I didn't really know regarding injury news or what's going on in the DFS industry. But I brought it up a couple days ago, then yesterday again, then again today. Then one of my friends, he gave me a call and said, "Look, I got a number for you to call." And this is what I mean. I'm now an investigative journalist. I'm like Bob Woodward or Carl Bernstein. So one of my friends got me a phone number. It was weird. He was kind of vague about it. But he's like, "Just give this guy a call. I think he'll be able to shed some information for you." And one thing that is a little odd doing the podcast, it does put me in somewhat of a weird spot with some of my friends who do this for a living professionally, because obviously they know whatever they tell me I'm going to say on the podcast to you guys. So are they 100% forthcoming with me now? The fact that now I do the podcast, and basically I don't lie to them. I tell them whatever they tell me I'm going to probably say to everyone who is listening to the show. But so I'm sure there's certain things that maybe that they don't tell me. But I did get this guy's phone number. So I gave this guy a call, and for purposes of obviously just certain things I can't say on the podcast. But let's just call him. Let's call him the Vegas Man. So I spoke to someone called the Vegas Man. Right, this guy. It was about a 5-10 minute conversation. It wasn't a long conversation, but it was really enlightening, especially the more I think about it. So this guy allegedly provides NBA injury news and tips to professional gamblers, and he's been doing this a long time. And he said about 3 years ago, he started also doing this to guys who play DFS professionally. And those are basically his clients. And then his clients give him a cut he said either clients give him a cut of their winnings, which can be 5-10%, or they pay a flat fee for his quote unquote advice throughout the regular season or whatever it is. But so he said basically anytime he hears news, he'll alert his clients immediately. He didn't tell me where he gets his info or if he knew why. I did ask specifically about Big Sauce Williams. I asked about the Cavs' big three being rested last week. I asked about the Denver game I think was that last night, 2 nights ago, when that line was fishy. I asked a few specific questions, but he really wasn't giving me anything specific. He basically just said he has contacts on every NBA freaking team and also for other sports as well. In terms of DFS, injury news seems is probably the most important for NBA. But it was a fascinating call, especially so then kind of hung up. But the more I thought about it, it makes sense, right? I mean, not 99% of us, in terms of injury news, I mean, we all do the same freaking thing, right? We're relying on Basketball Monster or Fantasy Labs. I mean, and those two sites are great. They do a really good job. But if you think about what do they do? They're just retweeting out basically what the beat reporters say, right? So a beat reporter tweets out a starting lineup, or he tweets out Carmelo's going to get a minutes restriction, or Carmelo's going to sit out for Friday night, and then Basketball Monster or Fantasy Labs just sends out basically just retweets that out, right? So if you're a DFS player and you have a different avenue, one that's more reliable, one that gets you info quicker, think about how much of an advantage that would be, especially again like in the NBA where one injury can change the entire slate. I mean, injury, resting, tanking, all that kind of news is probably the most important aspect of NBA DFS. So, do we really know what happened to Big Sauce Williams? No, but now it's more of this global issue. Like how many freaking people, how many professionals have a quote unquote Vegas man who have inside information and knowledge on every NBA team. So I don't know. Maybe like we need to get our own Vegas man for like every listener of this podcast. Maybe I can try to find our own Vegas man that we get. But that's pretty interesting, right? I mean, again, everyone else is relying on all of us are relying on Fantasy Labs and Basketball Monster, and then you have, I guess, certain people out there. And I don't know how many people are using him, and he didn't say, but it does make sense if you had a different, unique avenue that's more reliable and get you better information faster. Man, do you have an advantage in NBA DFS? So, yeah, to me, it was is this the Watergate scandal? No, of course not. But in terms of DFS, it's pretty fascinating. So again, we need our own Vegas man. That's basically what we need. All right, let's move on to more lighter news. If you guys have any other follow-up questions regarding that, feel free to let me know, by the way. But again, I don't know how rampant that is. I have no idea. Is that like one professional player using him? Is that 10? How rampant is it? Because a lot of most of my friends that I have the call with, and I know about 20 people who do this professionally, they did not seem to really know much about it until I really, really, really pressed. So I just have no idea how if that's truly a big deal in DFS. But it makes you think. That's for certain. All right. Before we get into the heart of the show, please do 3 things for the judge. If I can do investigative journalism for you at 3:40 in the freaking morning, or do podcast for you at 3:40 in the morning, which is what time it is right now, and then unveil the Watergate scandal or the Big Sauce Williams scandal, you can do 3 things for me. You can rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. That's all one thing, too. One of you guys like, that's 3 things right there, Judge. I did those. Don't be an idiot. That's one thing. Rate, review, and subscribe. Remember, get very creative with your reviews. Next week, I will go back to reading your glorious, very witty reviews on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts. I will read one to lead off the show, each show. So please rate, review, subscribe. Also, please, when I tweet out the link to this episode, please retweet it. That's very important, too. Please retweet it. The last few days, the retweets have been down. Where are the retweets? Retweet it to the world. March is a very tough freaking month for NBA DFS. As you guys know, it's game 70 out of an 82-game regular season. So a lot of us are beat down. We're tired. We're mopey. We're angry. But I'm still here. I'm still doing the podcast. Although I notice I'm stuttering and mumbling and stumbling and bumbling more already in this show because my mind is racing on so many different things going on. But if you could send out a retweet, we want to grow the audience as much as we can. Plus, as you guys know, very soon we are moving to Dash Radio, and we're not really moving. We're just adding an additional platform. So again, the move to Dash Radio, it doesn't impact you guys at all. Anyone, if you want to still listen to this podcast via iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you listen to your podcast, you can. You don't have to change a thing. This will not impact anyone listening to the podcast at all. It's just also just now the judge will also be on Dash Radio, which will be glorious, and that will be starting very soon. So as soon as I get the okay to tell you guys an official date, I will do that. But again, I'll be doing a show Monday through Friday, 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern on Dash Radio, and a glorious new lineup lock show from 6 to 6:30 Monday through Friday. And as of right now, also a show on Sunday, 1 to 2 Eastern for really the most of the playoffs. And remember, NBA DFS does go through the playoffs, and I probably will be doing some MLB DFS as well on there. But we'll devote most of it to NBA DFS. But we got to throw MLB DFS in there. Come on, the Doppler radar is coming. And by the way, the NBA playoffs start April 15th. And I think MLB starts the first week of April. And the last thing to do is please support the sponsor. So download the app Draft, and when you do, use the promo code DFBPOD. That's DFBPOD. And remember, if you can't find out where to put that promo code, let me know. Tweet at me at DanielAgreen1. Let me know your username on Draft, and I will get you hooked up with the deposit bonus, and then the sponsor will not be yelling at me. All right, that's it. That's all you got to do. Then you are a dream lover if you do those 3 things. All right, so let's jump right into Chambers, shall we? And let's talk about the Chambers head-to-head bracket madness, because this is coming together.
You're running for your life.
Just ignore this. Nothing to hear here. Nothing to hear. Nothing to hear. Nothing to hear. But by the way, did you guys notice? I am so tired of you know what? I'm adding this as a dream killer. I know we're not at that segment yet. I'm putting the iPhone as a dream killer. Like, why does my iPhone keep changing how iTunes works in my stupid No, I guess it's not iTunes. It's just the music thing. It keeps changing how to play freaking music via my iPhone, and now it's completely different. Anyway, as I was saying, Chambers, the head-to-head bracket style is coming along very nicely. Let's all get very excited. Yes. Soak it in. It's glorious.
The ball is tipped, and there you are. You're running for your life.
Oh man, what a good song! Like honestly, that might be the best part of the NCAA tournament. Still, is play at the end they play the Luther Vandross song. So as you guys know, if you've been listening to the podcast, because in light of the NCAA tournament, the judge is putting together his own Judges Chambers style NCAA style bracket challenge. It's a head-to-head style challenge. Now, I told you guys if you wanted to play, you had to follow a couple of simple steps. Follow at DG Courtroom on Twitter. Let me know if you want to play FanDuel or DraftKings, and then tweet me your username on either FanDuel or DraftKings. So a lot of you did abide by that. Some of you didn't abide by that. You either tweeted at me or did some other weird thing to try to get in. But I'm doing my best to get everyone who wants to play in. Now it's just not feasible though. So currently the brackets are, I'd say 94% done, and they look beautiful. So I've done just about all the seedings. I've gotten most of the people in there. The problem was on FanDuel, I did have to keep, keeping it to about 64, 68 people, and I had over about 100 people who wanted to basically play. So it just administratively, I had to make it to have the cutoff around 64 people, like the real NCAA tournament. And DraftKings, the demand was not the same. So currently, I have a 32 person bracket on DraftKings. Although I think we might expand that a little bit, but it's basically set. I'm just doing some minor tweaking. So if you made it, I will let you know in the next probably day or so, and I'll give you exact details on exactly how it's going to run down. And on Monday is when we will start it. So on Monday, March 27th, the head-to-head style Chambers kicks off. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm super pumped for it. Also, I think that's when I'm finally going to launch my website, which I've been delaying for months and months now. So also you'll be able to see the bracket on the website. There'll be a link to it there. So you'll be able to watch everyone in advance. And then also maybe on Monday's podcast, we will do a special Judges Chamber selection show, and I will reveal the number 1 seeds on both the FanDuel bracket and the DraftKings bracket. Also, it's going to be fun because the one thing you guys can help me with, I'm currently trying to come up with names of regions. You know how the NCAA has the East, West, South, Midwest. We need regions. So for FanDuel, we have 4 regions, right? We could have like a Bumble, Stumble, Fumble region. We could have a Stand in the Corner region with West Matthews. We could have a Magic Mountain region. How about some Terrence Ross and Will Barton? Of course, Andrew Wiggins would be there. Even Bledsoe, even though he's shut down for the year. Or we could do something else. So if you guys have ideas for what to call each region, let me know on either FanDuel or DraftKings. You guys are witty. You guys are creative. Help me out. So I'm looking forward to that. That'll be a lot of fun. All right. So that's the head-to-head style Chambers, which again that kicks off Monday. And if you made the cut, you will be hearing from me in the next day or two. But now let's talk about regular Chambers, right? And you may be asking, Judge, what is this Chambers you keep talking about? Chambers is only the most important DFS tournament in the world. The greatest players, they travel from Australia, from New Zealand, from South Africa, to come to enter this tournament, to basically so they can tell all their friends and girlfriends and brag. That's how they get ladies in the clubs. That's how the ladies get their guys and wherever ladies pick up guys. I guess the clubs too, right? Maybe coffee shops. I don't know. But everyone wants to participate in Chambers, and you want to dominate, and then you get bragging rights. And if you want, normally on Chambers we have one on DraftKings, 50 people or so every night. On FanDuel, we usually have 3, although lately I've only been opening up 2 a day just because I've been so swamped, and it does take time to administratively to open them up and then record the data and keep track of of everyone's results. So, but that's what Chambers is. Now you know. Dude, These sound effects are killing me, guys, by the way. Trying to do the sound effects live is a dream killer. God. I cannot find the Chambers music. Where is it? Ugh. Ah. There we go. Finally. Jeez. I'm telling you, man, I need a producer. Could someone please come produce the show? I mean, I'm trying to do 1,000 things at once. I have 8 million tabs open. I'm stuttering like a buffoon up here. I mean, God, what a mess. But the music's going. The beat's going. And finally, one of you guys on Twitter let me know, because I was asking you guys, why is this stupid music playing? Not stupid. I like this song. But why is it playing? There's got to be a reason, right? Finally, one of you told me this theme music. What's the song? What's the name of the song? It's called Chambers by Lenny Kravitz. That's why it's playing. It's called Chambers. Gosh darn it. All right. Chambers for Thursday. The winners on FanDuel, B-L-I-G-I-D-Y. B-Liggity put up a score of 319. Now, Thursday was a weird, wacky, disgusting night. It was a 5-game slate. 3 games were blowouts. The other 2 games were sucked. They were turtle emojis. So really low scoring night. But we did have decent scores in Chambers. And then so B Liggity won one of the Chambers on FanDuel. And the other one, it was a 3-way tie, which is a first. Now, I know what some of you are probably thinking. Collusion. No, there's no collusion. If you actually, so 3 people put up a score of 320.2. And if you look at, throughout the industry, this was a pretty common score for Thursday night. It basically was a stack of, basically it contained 5 guys from the Brooklyn Phoenix game, which was a pretty popular game. So congrats to all 3 of you who tied for Chambers Glory. Brittingham T, Bad Notions, and Thal 0717. All 3 of those guys are good players. They're the top of the leaderboard pretty often. On DraftKings, the winner, Chris Hearn. Yeah, Chris. Way to go, man. Take it down. Finishing second, Culve 45. That's right, Culve 45. Not Cult 45, Culve 45. Who finished third? I don't know. I do know. I'm going to tell you now. It's Thal. I said Thal, Thall 0717. So Thal had a good night on FanDuel and DraftKings. So congrats to you, Thal, for double glory almost. All right, let's get out of that. All right, so congrats to all you guys who cashed in Chambers on Thursday. Oh, man, don't worry, guys. I will get the hang of doing the sound sound effects live. I just got to figure it out. It's just not freaking easy. I only have 2 hands as well. And God forbid the bailiff could help me out sleeping over here. Man, oh, God, I would love to get some sleep. All right, so, what's next? Oh, glorious, man. Just when you think the show can't get any better. We get some Luther Vandross. Then we get some Lenny Kravitz. Now we go to the Emmy-nominated segment, soon to be Emmy award-winning segment, Dream Killers and Dream Lovers. Now, I know you're saying, Judge, you didn't say it right. And you're right, I didn't. So let's do it. Let's introduce it properly. Dream Killers and Dream Lovers. Very relaxing. So on this slate, man, it was disgusting. It was nasty. It was horrifying. It was disgusting. I made a vow to the bailiff, and I actually had a lady friend over, so I had to play it cool. Like I didn't really care too much about the games. So I didn't. My gavel was far away from me, so I did not throw my gavel during this night. Otherwise, I would have broke all kinds of things because just there was nastiness all around. And let's start with the Clippers. Now, Andre Drummond has cost me more money than anyone this NBA season, but man, a guy who's trying to make a late surge is, and not, I don't mean Serge Ibaka, a late surge is Blake Griffin. And man, it was weird because if you're watching this Clippers Dallas game, I was rooting like after the first quarter. Blake was done. I mean, you could tell he didn't care. He didn't try. He was matched up against Dirk Nowitzki. He should have destroyed him. He played 39 freaking minutes against Dirk as well. In the first half, I think the first quarter he had 0 rebounds. And he played the entire first quarter. I think at the half, he may have had 2 rebounds. For the game, He shot 9 of 23, 21 points, 5 rebounds. And Dirk did defend him for large stretches of that game. It was just him and the entire Clippers team. They basically sleptwalked. I was happy that they lost. Of course, they lost with a Blake turnover late when he could have won the game. And he was a mess. This happened to the Clippers several times this year when I've watched them play. I don't know if it's just like you see a lot of the veteran teams, and because the NBA is such a grind, it gets to game 70, and what do they care about the regular season? And the thing is, they still are battling for home court advantage. So like these games do matter to them. So it's a little bizarre to me. You would think, like if they end up in the first round, like at Utah, they could very easily lose. So you would think that they would be more involved in these games, but it was just super disappointing. And he was sucked, soul crusher, dream killer, and also he just doesn't stop whining. Just stop freaking whining. God, everyone on that Clippers team, him and Chris Paul, and Chris Paul was a dream killer as well. They're such babies. And Chris Paul's fat. I don't care. That's right. I said it again. He's fat. So Chris Paul, 6 for 13, 15 points, 6 assists. Just whatever. Ugh, that entire freaking game. And for the Clippers, for Dallas, I don't think anyone from Dallas really hit. There was on that entire game, I think there were 2 or 3 games like this where like no one in the entire game really hit value, or maybe if they hit value, it was barely. It was such a blah, boring game. That's what I mean. Like I call Harrison Barnes missionary sex Harrison Barnes, but you could almost call the entire Dallas Mavericks team that, right? You have Wes Matthews standing in a freaking corner as a dream killer. Wes shot 1 of 8 from the court, 1 of 8 from the floor in 35 minutes. Like, luckily, he stumbled and bumbled into 4 rebounds and 6 assists. Otherwise, he would have had just a disgusting, like a 2 Fandle point night. He was just bad. Now, he was playing decent defense, but whatever. Missionary sex Harrison Barnes, he did what he always does. Like, it was sex. It was still good, but it wasn't great. Didn't help you take down a tournament. He was just fine. Then you have guys like Dirk, and it's just blah. So yeah, that whole entire game. I guess DeAndre Jordan was okay, but that entire game. You could make the case that the entire game was a dream killer, like the Memphis San Antonio game, which we'll talk about in a second. But first, another dream killer. That's Dwayne Casey, who, again, in terms of coaches, I think he is one of the least innovative coaches in the NBA. He thinks he's so old school and so badass. He's just a buffoon, in my opinion. And I don't know why Toronto guys seem to love him so much. So, if you get in Dwayne Casey's, doghouse, then you don't play. And who does Dwayne Casey hate more than anyone? Jonas Valanciunas. So Serge Ibaka was suspended for this game. So you thought, wow, maybe Jonas could get some minutes here. Toronto was playing Miami. That's Whiteside. So you got to play a 7-footer, right? Nope. Valanciunas got 21 minutes. He did have some foul trouble, so that did play a role into it. But most importantly, guess how many shots he got? Not 1, but 2. 2 shots. 2 freaking shots. PJ Tucker, who has a usage rate of about 7%, got 8 shots. Jonas got 2 shots. Jonas is a dominant, supremely offensive skilled guy. And the fact that Kyle Lowry's out and DeMar DeRozan won't. DeMar DeRozan, if you watch Toronto play, there's many times you could see him like looking Jonas in the eye, and he just won't pass on the damn ball. Just super frustrating. Now, obviously, if you're playing Valanciunas on any slate, you have to be aware of the risk. So I had him in like one lineup, but it still pisses me off because he still is supremely talented. And you would think without Ibaka playing Whiteside, let him play. At least give him the freaking ball as well. So whatever. It was a disaster play. Big Sauce Williams. So I'm pretty sure that, some Vegas thugs, maybe the Vegas man himself, called Sauce Williams, gave him some money and said, you know what? Since you were only 3% owned on last slate, we need you to stink and justify that. Justify, why you were so low owned. So you got to play really crappy again on Thursday. I think he got 3 fouls in like 4 minutes. It was unbearable. And I think for that, that Phoenix Brooklyn game, which did have some fantasy gold, he played 16 minutes. He had 4 fouls, 4 points, 4 turnovers. How do you have 4 turnovers, by the way, Sauce Williams? That's I don't know how it's possible, but he somehow managed to do it. 7 rebounds. He had, I think, 8 Fandle points. So obviously, compared to him, Valanciunas was a good play. Valanciunas had like 12 Fandle points. So just disgusting. Also, he was I think in the slam, he was only like 4% owned on this slate as well, Sauce Williams. Who else? Brook Lopez, man. I have played so little Brook Lopez this year. So this was one slate. I played a decent amount of him, and man, he let me down. He was a mess for the most part. Now, granted, if you were watching the Brooklyn Phoenix game, the game was so bizarre. This entire slate was bizarre. So Phoenix was up like 30-15. They were blowing Brooklyn out of the gym. Brooklyn could not keep up with them, especially 7-foot Brook Lopez, who is there a slower white guy in the NBA? A slower guy, period? Watching him try to move up and down the court, I don't know how he doesn't fall over. I really don't. But Brook Lopez got off to a horrible start. He ended and Brooklyn ended up winning that game by 30 points. They came back with a vengeance after that first quarter. But Brook Lopez only got 25 minutes, only got 19 points, and you guys know he can't rebound, so he got 6 rebounds. We were lucky he got 25 FanDuel points because I still was able to cash with him in some of my lineups, but it just didn't work out. I mentioned Wes Matthews, and then this whole Memphis-San Antonio game. And on 5-game slates, it's very hard to just avoid games entirely. So I had exposure, and I played some Kawhi again, and this was the 3rd game in a row where Kawhi just bent me over and basically spanked me. And I'm not a big fan of being spanked unless it's by a hot dominatrix, and that is not Kawhi Leonard. So Kawhi 7 for 15, 10 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. The biggest thing is if you're watching the Spurs play right now is his usage. So like LaMarcus was out for a few games with his like irregular heartbeat, whatever that was. And Kawhi was jacking up like 28 shots a night. His usage was through the roof. And then all of a sudden lately, he's just not shooting the ball. He's not aggressive. And LaMarcus is taking like every freaking shot. Kawhi is just at his price right now. Man, if he only takes 15 shots, that tells you right there that's probably not going to be enough. And he's also not giving you like the steals and the blocks that we need as well. So just didn't work out. We played Kawhi, and that entire Memphis San Antonio game. It was again besides LaMarcus Aldridge and maybe like a Patty freaking Mills or Tony Parker. If you took a shot on those guys, basically no one hit value. Everyone was subpar. Conley was subpar. Gasol was subpar. It was just disgusting. A really bad game to watch in terms of DFS purposes. The game itself actually wasn't that exciting either. Dream lovers. Tyler Ulis. So Phoenix lost by 30. But I think he played the entire 4th quarter. He played 45 minutes. So he played almost the entire game. So, at this point, Phoenix is really banged up. They're trying to lose. They're tanking. They don't have a lot of guys to even play. So Tyler Ulis is playing all the minutes in the world. If it's a blowout, if it's not a blowout, if he could just make a freaking shot, he would be putting up 50 FanDuel points a night. He took 19 shots. He only made 5. He was 5 of 19. 10 points, 12 assists, 5 was that? I don't know, 5 steals? No, 5 rebounds, 2 steals. The line reads really well until you realize, wow, he missed a lot of shots. If he still had like over 32 FanDuel points, I think. If he just the usage rate is really fine. Now TJ Warren was out for this game, but if Warren's going to be out again on Friday, which he might be, I guess we'll see what Ulis's price is going to be. But man, the usage is there. The minutes are there. Right now, it's just a really nice play. Marquise Chris, he was excellent on this slate. Man, I had 100% Chris, 31 minutes. I wish he could have got over 40 minutes. He only got 31, 8 for 15, 23 points, 11 rebounds. Man, the guy's just so athletic. So this game was made for him. The fast pace of a Brooklyn Phoenix game. Alex Len, because Big Sauce Williams got into foul trouble again. So Len took advantage. Len played 25 minutes, 11 points, 11 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 blocks. So if you played Len over Big Sauce Williams, most of you got, I'm judging. No one even played Big Sauce Williams. So I'm judging most of you guys didn't play Len. He was super, super, super low owned, but he had a really nice night, and especially at his salary. Ronnie Hollis Jefferson, he's become like one of my favorite players to watch. Man, like I'm telling you, if you watch Brooklyn play, he jumps off the screen. Like him and LeVert, man, they're so fun to watch. Those two, I just wish they could get minutes. And Hollis Jefferson got 15 minutes. 15. That's nothing. That's a quarter. In those 15 minutes, he put up like over 30 FanDuel points. 5 points, 16 boards. 16 boards. That's over a board a minute. The judge knows math. Only 5 points. He only shot 2 of 10. So the usage in 15 minutes, the usage was tremendous. Just didn't make any shots. But 5 points, 16 boards, 2 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, and over 30 FanDuel points at his cheap price. He was great. Man, like I don't know exactly why he only got the 15 minutes. Normally he gets around 24. So now obviously the blowout didn't help things, but I'm not sure why it was only 15 minutes. Even for Coach Atkinson, that's not enough for Hollis Jefferson. Maybe he felt bad for Phoenix. DeMar DeRozan, this piece of crap. There's not. I mean, Hollis Jefferson, maybe one of my favorite players to watch. My two least favorite players to watch are Harden and DeMar DeRozan. And DeMar DeRozan just jacks up, just contested jumpers, really difficult, sickening shots. He was making his shots on this slate. 2 straight really good games in a row for him. 14 of 25, 40 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, over 50 FanDuel points. He was super high owned on this slate too, because he didn't have a lot of stars playing. So I think I saw him close to like 48% or something in the slam on FanDuel. And he was the key. He was in every winning lineup I saw. LaMarcus Aldridge, I mentioned him. He's been playing really well for Kawhi Leonard. I read a stupid article saying he stopped wearing like some weird like tight boxer type things, and that's maybe why he's playing better. I mean, why do you write an article like that? Who writes that? Whatever. Anyway, he's been good. So he shot 10 of 16, 23 points, 8 rebounds, 3 blocks, and he right now he has a very fair price across the industry. So since he's been back from this heartbeat thing, man, his usage rate has basically been higher than Kawhi's, and he's been really good. And then Judi Dench. I mean, Judi Dench just continues to put up monster nights. 30 points again, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, had like 45 FanDuel points. Now he was super expensive on this slate. I think he's almost like 10. He was almost 10K on FanDuel, but not a lot of guys had good nights. So I think he was in a lot of winning lineups just because this is one of those rare slates where you just needed a guy to not crap the bed. And Dame came through with a pretty good game. Now in real life, a really good game. In DFS purposes, an okay game, but okay was good enough on this slate. Remember, the slate dictates what we do. And on Thursday, what do we have? We had a disgusting 5-game slate. Now on Friday, we have a glorious 10 or 8-game slate. So much different. Like if Lillard put up 44 FanDuel points on Friday, is that going to be enough to win the tournament? Any tournament? Hell no, it won't be. Hell no, it won't be. All right, so let's jump into Friday. So remember, the slate dictates who we play, and I don't even remember. This show seems to be going super fast, and honestly, I wish I could tell you guys all the stuff going on behind the scenes right now. There's like 8 million things going on. One day maybe, but so for this slate, we are in the city of Atlanta, Georgia. Surprising, right? I know. I was Googling the top cities for singles in the United States because on this slate we have lots of options. And apparently in Atlanta, you have lots of options. I was pretty surprised. I didn't realize in terms of population, about 70% of the population in Atlanta is single. Pretty good odds right there, right? So we are in Atlanta. I think I've only been to Atlanta maybe once in my life. And I went there for a work trip and I didn't see any of the city. So this time I'm going out. We're to enjoy the nightlife. And we'll see. Our injury news for Friday. Not a whole lot out there, quite honestly. Sean Kilpatrick, whatever. Wilson Chandler is going to play. It really does stink how much him being back hurts Denver in terms of the value there. I'm pretty sure the last game I didn't do a podcast. If I would have done a podcast yesterday, the entire freaking podcast would have been a rant about that Cleveland Denver game and about the entire Detroit Pistons team. Yeah, it just would have been an hour of that. But the Cavs Denver game, I don't think anyone in that game from Denver had value, and certainly no one did for Cleveland because Denver blew out the Cavs. But with that over under, which was like 240 or 230, whatever it was, 230, to have no one really hit value or surpass value and put up a monster line is pretty crazy. But that's what Wilson Chandler being back does. It limits everyone else's upside. It really does hurt guys like Plumlee and guys like Barton. So him being back, it really does impact who you can play for Denver. Gallinari, though, still is questionable for Denver. Aaron Gordon, he's questionable for Orlando. That's one less Orlando bum. Maybe we don't have to worry about playing. TJ Warren is still questionable with that left foot contusion. So and Ronnie Price and Derek Jones also for Phoenix. So if those 3 guys are out again, man, Phoenix has no one left, so we can fire up all those guys again, even on an 8 or 10 game slate. Chris and Booker, By the way, Booker shot horribly. He wasn't a dream killer or a dream lover. He was just indifferent on Thursday night. He took 20. What do you have? 26 shots, something crazy. Maybe it wasn't that many, but I know he shot really poorly. I think he had like 30, 32 Fandom points. It was fine. But all those Phoenix guys will be in play again on Friday. And then Iguodala is questionable with a left hip strain. So on DraftKings, that's irrelevant. And on FanDuel, that's doesn't really matter too much anyway. All right. Let's go to Vegas, shall we? Did I just say Vegas? What the hell does that mean? Let's go to Vegas. Vegas. Man, all these things look weird to me today. My computer screen looks weird. All right, here we go. We're in Vegas. My favorite part, I'm not sure how well you guys can hear the audio. My favorite part is if you listen to the very end of that clip, you hear watch him. I think he says, "I'm excited" or "I'm very excited" or I don't know what he says, but he sounds like he's almost like orgasmic. It's a little troubling to me, so I may have to get like a new sound effect for this one. But here, I'm gonna play it again. Listen closely. We're at the slot machine. Ready? Here we go. Creepy, right? Yeah. The more I think about that one, it's a little bit creepy. All right. So pretty glorious slate. We have lots of games to attack in terms of over under. Pelicans, Houston, 228 over under. Neither team has any desire to play defense whatsoever. Houston is a 7-point favorite. The Pelicans have been playing better lately with Cousins and Boogie. So I think they can keep that game close. And Boogie's price is still too low across the industry. So you tell me, for the Houston, who's going to guard Anthony Davis or Boogie Cousins? Ryan Anderson is going to try to guard one of those two, right? That's not going to go well. And then Clint Capella, Nene. I mean, so the Pelicans' big guys are in really good spots. Brooklyn, Washington. So Brooklyn's on a back-to-back, but Brooklyn, they blew out Phoenix. So first of all, no one ever plays big minutes for Brooklyn. So Hollis Jefferson only played 15 minutes. So some of the Brooklyn guys will be in play. Washington is a 12-point favorite, but the over-under here is 224. That's really juicy. Washington has not been playing well lately. So they were playing phenomenal for like a 2.5 month stretch. They've really cooled off lately. A lot of their guys are overpriced as well. So, but now we get a beautifully fast-paced game here. So maybe this is a good bounce back spot for some of the Wizards. Phoenix, Boston. So Boston's a 15-point favorite here. So we just saw Phoenix get beat by 30 by Brooklyn. Brooklyn's the worst team in the NBA in terms of record-wise. And now they get Boston, who's fighting for the 1 seed, on a back-to-back. That's going to be nasty. The one good thing about Phoenix here is if Tyler Ulis is going to play 45 minutes in a blowout, he should play a lot of minutes again on Friday, right? And by the way, Booker played 40 minutes on Thursday, even though it was a blowout as well. So I think we can still play these Phoenix guys, even if it's a blowout. I mean, they have no one else to play, especially if TJ Warren's out and they're dealing with some other injuries. And they already shut down Bledsoe and Knight and Chandler. Who's left? My voice got really high there. Then this Minnesota Lakers game. For the most part, we're not going to talk much about Minnesota Lakers or Sacramento Golden State. Those two games are the 10:30. Those are the 10:30 Eastern games. They're not even on the DraftKings slate. So those guys obviously in play for tournaments, but whatever. Let's have a DraftKings night on Friday. You know what? I should have done this show and used DraftKings pricing. I know a lot of you guys always yell at me because sometimes, and by the way, hopefully you guys have realized, and if you haven't, then I'm not really sure why you're playing DFS because you have bigger issues probably. But so during the show, I'm using FanDuel pricing. So obviously, if you play on both sites, you're obviously well aware that it's a different world on DraftKings and FanDuel, right? Someone can be a really good play on FanDuel and a horrible play on DraftKings because the prices are entirely different, and vice versa. Someone can be an excellent play on DraftKings, but a horrible play on FanDuel. So when there are huge discrepancies in price, I do try to let you guys know on the show, but it's just not always feasible to do because again, I'm trying to keep these shows to an hour. If I tried to give you the pricing on every site, it would be a 4-hour show. And I talk too much anyways. It is. So we are using FanDuel pricing. Although maybe one show next week I'll do a show doing DraftKings pricing, because the pricing is entirely different. It's why it makes playing on both sites difficult. If you don't have a lot of time to devote to DFS, it makes playing on both sites, it can be tough on some nights. Our other games, then you got some nasty ones. So Philly, Chicago, 209 over under. So actually not a horrible game there. Philly has to lose, Chicago has to win. So I bet you Philly will probably win that game. Go figure. But man, the Bulls are still battling for the 8 seed. Speaking of the 8 seed, oh God, Detroit, Orlando. Oh, two teams that have just been the bane of my existence. 207 over under. Go watch this game go to like triple overtime or something. Name a guy on either team. Drummond's cost me the most money ever. Reggie Jackson's been just a nightmare. All of us. KCP. Oh God, the entire Pistons team is their whole theme park to themselves. It's roller coasters for all of them. And the Magic. Ross and Fournier and Gordon if he plays, Vucevic, Alfred Payton. Oh God, it's the Magic Mountain game. This is the Magic Mountain game of the year. Wait a minute, I should be excited for this. Yeah, the more I think about it, this is fantastic. Then you have Atlanta, Milwaukee, 204 over under. I don't even know if I mentioned it. I think the Hawks are still without Millsap and Bazemore. I know Ersan didn't. He kind of let us down last game. Tim Hardaway Jr. though, if those guys are out, he still played well. For the Bucks, I think Giannis had a monster night a couple of days ago. Go figure, right? Came out of nowhere. All right, you guys know I love 3 things in life. Maybe I love 4. Maybe I love the Vegas man, right? I think that was today's show. God, it's so late now. I don't even know. I think that was today's show, right? Where I talked about the Vegas man. My Watergate investigative reporting. So I love the Vegas man. I love the bailiff, of course. I love usage, and I love pace. And on this slate, Washington playing up in pace against Brooklyn, because Brooklyn still does lead the league in pace, which is sort of shocking, but it's true. Sacramento playing up in pace against the Warriors. Boston playing up in pace against Phoenix. The Pelicans way up in pace against Houston. And Chicago a little bit against Philly. And that's about it that I want to attack. All right, let's hop into the plays. The top plays at each position. Or, as I say some shows, the top plays at each position. Much better. All right. So, like I said, we're in Atlanta, baby. So maybe. By the way, since we're in Atlanta, maybe we play some Hawks, right? If I mentioned Bazemore and Millsap are out, I think. So, yeah, let's play some Dwight. Let's play some Tim Hardaway Jr. Let's play some Ersan. Let's go crazy. Let's go clubbing. Point guard. Let's start it off. John Wall. By the way, so I'm trying to keep the show to an hour. I'm probably going to fail again. I was off by like 20 minutes last show. It was an utter fail by me. Now, starting soon, it has to be an hour, so I don't know what I'm going to do. Let me know what segment you guys want me to cut down on. Do I just cut down on Dream Killers, Dream Lovers? Not really sure what to do. I love Dream Killers and Dream Lovers. It makes me happy. All right, point guard, John Wall. He's still overpriced. He's $10K, but he gets Brooklyn. Now, in the past, I've been trying to attack Brooklyn point guards. I've been trying. Sometimes a lot of slates I try to force it. I try to force attacking Brooklyn. It makes more sense to me to do it on smaller slates. On a large slate like this, do I really want to pay for an overpriced Wall? He would need to get me, I think, to take down a tournament on this slate close to 60 FanDuel points. When's the last time he's done that? I don't know if he's done that all year. 60 is about his ceiling, but the last few weeks his ceiling has been close to 50, and that's what he needs to hit value. So I don't love the play, and also Washington should blow out Brooklyn. Although Brooklyn is, man, you got to give them credit. They keep every freaking game close. I don't mind Wall. It just on paper, I think there's a lot better value plays, players that make more sense from a points per dollar perspective. Kyrie Irving, 9.1K. So that entire Cleveland-Denver game, he was the one guy for Cleveland who was playing relatively well. He had 33 points in only 27 minutes against Denver. He had 40 FanDuel points, and he only played 27 minutes though because the Cavs couldn't keep it close, which doesn't make sense. They were rested. Nah, I don't understand it. By the way, do you realize Cleveland's like the second worst defensive team I forgot what the sample was, but it was like the last few months. I don't think it was the whole year, but maybe it was. And I don't think it was a whole entire year, but they've been so bad defensively. The only team worse has been the Lakers. That's why whoever's playing freaking Cleveland, you play, you attack, you use. Now, it didn't work out with Denver guys because Denver blew out Cleveland. But on this slate, Cleveland's playing Charlotte, so maybe we fire up some Charlotte guys, which has not been going well for us if you've been playing Charlotte guys lately. But Kyrie's fine. Again, he's overpriced as well. Playing the pace of this game is not something that I really want to attack, but it's fine. His salary's a little too high for me. I think it's better on DraftKings. Let me see what it is on DraftKings. On DraftKings, his price is not found. That's what it says, not found, because I typed in the wrong name. So he's so this is what I mean. So he's 8.1K. This is one of the guys who on FanDuel is not a great play, but on DraftKings he is. 8.1K is a very fair price. So I like him a lot more on DraftKings. And on this slate, I will be playing almost exclusively on DraftKings because they're cutting out those two 10:30 p.m. games. Isaiah Thomas. So Boston is a 15-point favorite here against Philly. Has Isaiah shown me any reason to play him lately? No. Avery Bradley's back. The usage has gone down. They're big favorites here. Tournaments only. By the way, not playing Philly. They're playing Phoenix. Changes things a little bit because Phoenix does play at the second or third fastest pace in the league. But still tournaments only. It's just, how can Phoenix keep that game close? The only fun thing here would be if you want to do a little game stack, which I will do, and play Ulis and Isaiah. It's two midgets competing against each other. Two guys that are 3'7" who are both going to take 25 shots. It'll be a lot of fun to watch. Kemba Walker. So I just mentioned, the worst defensive point guards are, in my opinion, Isaiah Thomas, Kemba Walker, any Denver guard. Throw Steph Curry in there, Elfrid Payton, Dennis Schroeder, and Rajon Rondo. So Kemba's going to get some Kyrie Irving defense. He's 7.7K on FanDuel, a very fair price. Now, he has not been great. I think they're basically out of playoff contention. So the minutes worry me a little bit. He also, the usage has gone down a little bit lately. He has not been as aggressive if you're watching the Hornets play. He's put in a lot of minutes and a lot of work this year. So tournaments only, but maybe he gets up for this Cleveland game. I do like that playing tournaments. Ricky Rubio. I'm not mentioning this Minnesota Lakers game. Any Minnesota guy against the Lakers you can play. It's obviously it's fine. Drew Holiday. This over-under is really juicy, but whatever. His usage is just so bad with Cousins and Anthony Davis there. So, I might do one lineup. I'll probably have a game stack of this game where I'll have a Holiday, Cousins, and Boogie, or I'll team up with Holiday with AD, or more so I'll probably be a Holiday Cousins lineup and hope Holiday can get 11 assists, something like that. It's possible. I know a lot of you guys are scared of Patrick Beverley defense. A lot of you shudder in fear. Ooh, Patrick Beverley. I mean, whatever. Yes, he's a good defender, but I mean, is that going to entirely make me want to fade someone? Not really. Elfrid Payton. So this Detroit-Orlando game, everything about this game is what's wrong with the world. This entire game mortifies me. With that said, tournaments only. Payton has been relatively good since All-Star break. You can make a case he's been Orlando's most consistent player. Not that that's saying much. He's not cheap. It's for 7K though. Dennis Schroeder. I don't like to attack Milwaukee point guards, and there's really no reason to play Dennis Schroeder. But without Millsap and Bazemore, he does see a nice uptick in usage. No one's going to be playing him because the pace of that game. There's a lot of really juicy games. That's not one of them. So just if you're playing the ownership level game, which I do some nights, then he's okay. And the price is okay. Not horrible. Jeff Teague. Man. Teague, are they becoming the Indiana Teagues again? I don't know. Last two games, Teague's been a lot better. 37, 39 FanDuel points. Now, Indiana playing way up in pace against Denver. Indiana is, I think they're battling for the 6th seed right now. They still have to win some games here. By the way, did I mention this over-under? I feel like I didn't mention this over-under. It's a 220 over under. So for Denver, that's low. Let me see who it's. So Indiana's favored by 1.5. Yeah. Wow. So I have not been playing a lot of Jeff Teague on this slate. Fire me up some Jeff Teague, man. Like that play. Rajon Rondo, 6.3K. So the prices come up, but it's warranted for the most part. Against Detroit, he was okay. 21 Fandom points. Against Toronto, he was great. I know a lot of you guys say he's only good on national TV games. And yeah, to some extent, that's somewhat true. But the Bulls really do need to win. And right now, one of my strategies is I'm playing a lot more lineups. And, instead of playing $100 tournaments, I'm playing, $10 tournaments or $20 tournaments, things like that. But I am also playing guys from teams who have something to play for, teams in playoff contention. So, yeah, Rondo, 6.3K, not cheap, but I think it's a fair price. And against Philly, like TJ McConnell defense, I'm totally fine with that. I think it's a safe play if you're still playing cash games, and he still is upside that price. I'm fine with it. Basically same price, Tyler Ulis. Now, I still would probably prefer Ulis to Rondo, just because Ulis, the minutes, he's getting all the minutes in the world. The usage is phenomenal, especially if TJ Warren's out. If Warren's out again, he's going to get over 15 to 20 shots. I mean, come on. And Isaiah Thomas defense. So, God, yeah. I mean, 6.2K on FanDuel, that's a beautiful price, and I'm totally fine with it. Now, on DraftKings, I think he's more expensive. I think he's 7.1K on DraftKings. So he's a guy on DraftKings where you got to pause a bit because you only get 8 players on DraftKings, and that's really expensive. So do I love it on DraftKings? I don't love it, but I still think it's fine. I don't think that's too expensive for a guy who's going to play 40 minutes, take 20 shots, and very capable of giving you 20 points, 10 assists. Where are we? TJ McConnell, blah, 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 blah. Just, I mean, you talk about missionary sex. I don't even know if he's good enough to be. He's not, you know what? Like Harrison Barnes is like missionary sex because it's like he'll get there for you probably somehow. He won't be great. But he'll have a good game. McConnell, he's basically like he's make out McConnell. That's what he is. So if you want to pretend you're in high school and make out with a cute girl, play TJ McConnell. But you're not gonna have sex. It's not gonna be great. It'll be good. It'll be fun. It'll have a fun night, but it's not gonna be great. Jameer Nelson, man, I don't know what to do with Nelson. Remember, Denver still has to win games as well. Like they're battling Portland for this 8 seed. So this is an important game for Denver. He's going to get 30 minutes. It's a sneaky ninja freaking play. I don't hate it. I don't. No one's going to play him. No one wants to play 47-year-old Jameer Nelson. So I don't mind it. It's relatively safe too. Beverly, 5K. I don't mind Beverly either. You can attack Pelicans guards. I used a lot of Beverly against Denver. That worked out for me. He's fine. Reggie Jackson's down. Oh, so wow. Ish Smith is now more expensive than Reggie. Ish is 4.7K. Reggie's 4.6K. Look, if I knew which one to play, I'd be on a boat on an island somewhere because I would have been doing it all year long and making a freaking fortune. I don't know which one's going to get more minutes. I have no freaking idea. If I had to, if I gunned to my head, I would say Ish Smith because Ish Smith started last game. Ish Smith allegedly is going to be the starter now. It sucked though because he only got 25 minutes and Reggie still got 20 minutes. But clearly Ish is the better play right now. So at that salary, if he can get 30 minutes, even 25 is fine. That's a very fair price. Alfred Payton defense, take advantage of it. Ish Smith's fine. Safe for all formats. Now on DraftKings, let me see. This is what I mean. See how the show is longer if I try to give you the price of every player on each site. And now I can't even find Ish Smith's price on. Oh, there it is. So it's 4.8K. So it's basically the same price. So I love him. I love him on this. I don't love it. He's safe for all formats. Either slate though, or either site. By the way, Brogdon, sneaky ninja play against Dennis Schroeder defense. He's getting 30 minutes a night, and now he gets Dennis Schroeder. Sneaky play. That's about it. I mean, I want to play Dinwiddie, din my doodle, spin my girl, spin my whatever. I want to play him. Dinwiddie, spin Whittle. I love this guy. He still played 23 minutes against Phoenix, but with Lynn playing and starting, it's tough. If Lynn's going to be out, then give me some Dinwiddie, din doodle. He's under 4K. James Harden. The question is, do you see him in the winning lineup? That's what you got to ask yourself. Do you see him in the winning tournament lineup? He's been good lately. 3 straight games, 65 or 63 FanDuel points or higher, but that's not a cheap price. That's 12.5K on FanDuel, and man, do I envision him in the winning tournament lineup again? Now, it is a really nice game against the Pelicans. I don't know. Probably not, but he could be. So I will probably have 20% exposure. I mean, the problem is, some of you guys, you get some of you trolls out there. Like, you're just so narrow-minded. It's so even if Harden puts up, let's say, 70 FanDuel points or 70 DraftKings points, right? So you play Harden on FanDuel. The rest of your 8 players, you only have 5.9K left for each player. So that means you're probably going to have a lineup with 2 or 3 bums. Now, let's say those two or 3 bums give you a combined 21 FanDuel points, right? Then, even if Harden gives you 70, that's not enough. Even if he gives you 80, that might not be enough. Because remember, it's not only playing freaking James Harden. You got to look at what's the result of playing him. Basically, you got to roster 2 or 3 bums. So if you choose the wrong bums to team him up with, it could be a disastrous move. So not only does he have to play well, his 2 or 3 bums that you team him up with have to play well. So it's just hard to pay up for that salary on an 8 or 10 game slate, when we're in Atlanta with all these glorious, beautiful ladies in bikinis. But yeah, it's still a good play. It's still fine. It's very hard to build a glorious lineup with 8 or 9 players when you have one player taking up so much salary. Giannis, I hate Giannis. Not in real life, just DFS, because look at his game logs. 40, 25, 41, 29, 30, 35, 44. And then last game he had 62 against Sacramento in one of what should have been a super slow-paced game. It's just why DFS can drive you freaking insane. So God only knows. He gets Atlanta. He's a tournament play. Price is, I guess it's somewhat fine. 2.2K cheaper than Harden. But if you just judging by watching him play, 8 out of 10 games, he will not hit value at that price. Bradley Beal. So Beal he's just too expensive. I don't know where the price should be coming down. It's not. And it doesn't come down because he had 48 FanDuel points last game against Atlanta. So that's all it takes. I mean, once a guy hits like the 8K or so price tag range, if he has one good game, every 2 weeks, the price is never going to go down. So that's the problem with Beal. I mean, is Brooklyn going to keep this game close? I don't know. Is Beal fine? Sure. But his ceiling is like around 48 FanDuel points because he is a one-trick pony. So I don't love that play. It's fine. I mean, he'll probably get you around 30, 35. Nicholas Batum. Batum is 6.8K. Yeah, I don't mind playing some Hornets on this slate. I just don't get excited to play Batum. I never do. He's just so. You talk about a guy who stands in a corner. He'll go games. He'll drive you insane because he's on the stand in the corner team. But a good spot for him. I mean, Matt, Cleveland's defense is so. Just go back and watch a Cleveland game. They don't play any defense. It's mind blowing. Avery Bradley, he's too expensive. He's 6.5K. Boston should blow out Phoenix. Tournaments only at that price. But I do like stacking that game in case it stays close. Maybe TJ Warren does play. Maybe Boston overlooks them. Weird things happen in DFS, so I don't mind it. But same price, Devin Booker. Give me Booker over Bradley every day of the week. So the game used to be Beal or Booker, right? Well, now Beal is too expensive because Beal's 8K. So now it's Bradley or Booker. That's the show, right? That's Roto Trash. But I do like. I give me Booker. Give me Booker every day of the week over Bradley in tournaments. The upside's better. I mean, Booker's going to play. He played 40 freaking minutes. They lost by 30 against Brooklyn. So, yeah, I think Booker has the upside. The problem is Avery Bradley defense on Booker. That worries me. So I'm not going to go crazy playing Devin Booker on this slate, but I still think he's okay to do. But man, Avery Bradley. I mean, I could see Booker taking a dump, getting guarded by Avery Bradley. He'd be so scared. Then you got our 2 Denver boys, Barton and Harris. Which one do we play, Judge? Play them both, mother effer. Barton is a tournament guy. I mean, Chandler back really does hurt him. But look, if he's hot and has a shot going, he could still be in the winning lineup. Gallo's still out, so he still could find a way to 30, 35 minutes. Mike Malone loves him, so it's all about minutes with him. And if he gets minutes, he'll play, and he could put up a big number. With Gary Harris, he's becoming. I don't want to jinx anything, but he's been a consistency monster. It's like 5 straight games, 30 Fandom points or more. His defense has been good. Like Mike Malone loves him too. So right now, remember, Denver has to win games. So I think Harris, safe for all formats, man, right now. He's not cheap, but God, he's cost me a lot of money this year. But yeah, safe for all formats. Tim Hardaway Jr., 5.8K. Sign me up, man. You know what? Again, if I play tournaments to win them, I want guys who have upside. It's against Milwaukee. Not a great game here. I'm hoping he'll keep the ownership low. The price is getting up there. But without Bazemore, without Millsap, he's going to get the ball. He's going to chuck. He's a Magic Mountain guy. He could kill your lineups. But he also could help. He also could be in the winning tournament lineup. Speaking of the Magic Mountain game of the year, Detroit or Orlando, Evan Fournier, 5.5K. Every single game, he finds a way to bumble and stumble and fumble his way. He's going to get probably KCP defense. I don't love Fournier on this slate, but he'll be fine. Will he be in the winning tournament lineup? That is very hard to imagine. All right, the under 5K bums. Eric Gordon, Buddy Hield. I forgot I'm not talking about that game. I'm not talking about that game. Although I do like Buddy Hield. He's been really good. I'm going to play KCP at 4.6K. I will play this bum. I know he killed all of us, but the thing is, he's still going to get 35 minutes a night. So he's been so bad. 9 Fandom points last game against the Bulls. God, he was abysmal. But you guys know me. I have a spreadsheet called recency bias. He's the 4th ranked guy on that spreadsheet that I want to play on this slate. So sign me up. I will pay that freaking price tag. Then you got Valentine. I don't mind that play either. I also don't mind Levert, 4.3K. Tim freaking Frazier. I think he's still starting for the Pelicans, right? Played 28 minutes last game. I don't mind that. He's 3.9K. If you play a guy like that, it allows you to get a Harden. All right, small forward. LeBron. So LeBron's price has come down a little bit, 10.7K. I had so much LeBron against Denver, so much, and he was so bad. That's may have been his worst game of the year. He had 29 Fandom points at his price. That's like, a 6K player giving you 0 Fandom points. It's just makes winning in your lineup impossible. Only good news is now the price came down. Obviously, who's the number 1 player on my spreadsheet called recency bias? It's LeBron. Am I going to play a lot of LeBron in this slate? Yeah. But still, it's still expensive, so you don't have to do it. But I do expect him to bounce back. Jimmy Butler, 9.5K against Philly. He's now at 4 straight games. He's been really good for the Bulls. I mean, you see without Wade, the usage goes up. They're running a lot of the offense through him, and he's basically the backup point guard as well. And look at the assists the last few games: 12, 6, 7, 5. Then he had a game of 1 against Memphis, which I don't call anything against Memphis. Then he had 11. So he's filling up the stat sheet. He doesn't need to. He only had 16 actual points last game, but he had 44 Fandom points. You know what that makes him to me? It makes him this.
Not gonna miss you. Don't wanna miss a thing.
That's right, Jimmy Butler, my can't miss play of the day. Now, do I see him in the winning tournament lineup? Not necessarily, but to me, I just don't think he's going to put up a dud against Philly. Chicago has to win this game, so all the minutes are there. I don't see them blowing out Philly because they're still the Bulls and they stink. And I think right now his floor is around 40 Fandom points. So the problem is the ownership has been really high lately. It's been like over 40%. But it's just I can't envision him in this game not getting 40 Fandom points. And if he's taking shots and is aggressive for once, he could put up 60. And yes, I already can see the tweets. Covington defense, Judge. Whatever. Covington's defense is not elite. Covington gets steals, he does, but he gambles a lot. And that's not going to stop Butler on this slate. Paul George, 8.6K. It's against Denver, so it's okay, but whatever. Yeah, it's just, man, I don't want to pay. I just don't want to pay that price. Let me see what his price is on DraftKings. Oh, he's even more. He's 8.9K on DraftKings. That's expensive, man. So if I have 10 lineups, he might, like, small forwards loaded. So I love LeBron. I love Butler. That makes playing Paul George, even though I do like the Denver Indiana game, hard to fit George in at that price. So it's weird, but I don't really love the play. I don't see a ton of upside at that price. Covington is my number 6 ranked guy in my recency bias chart. Killed me last game. Just crushed me. 17 FanDuel points. Nice bounce back spot here against the Bulls. Philly does need to lose games, but he's 7.1K. Very fair price. Monster upside. He was low owned. He was like 15% owned last slate. He's going to be low owned again. So for tournaments, man, give me some Covington. I love this play. Wilson Chandler, 6.6K. It's fine. He was good. He was 20. He played 41 freaking minutes last game. 29 FanDuel points. So if he plays 41 minutes, remember, Denver needs to win games. So Mike Malone's going to put out there professional players. That's why he's playing the bum Jameer Nelson. Jameer Nelson's still a professional basketball player. You can't play Moutier right now. You can't take chances if you're Denver. You got to win games. So Chandler's going to get a lot of minutes. So that price is very fair. He could put up 50 FanDuel points. He really could. He's 2K cheaper than Paul George. Could he outscore Paul George? Yes, he could. Jay Crowder, tournaments only in that Phoenix-Boston game. Wow, what am I talking about? Well, normally he's a cash game only play. So probably cash game only. This Phoenix Boston game, man. I'm so torn on what to do with this freaking game. The spread is messing with my head. So I just don't know how. I mean, if Brooklyn's going to beat Phoenix by 30 points, how is Phoenix keeping that game close against Boston? I don't know. Other than that, then we're already digging low. So Ariza, 5.1K. It's not horrible. MKG, 5K. My boy Hollis Jefferson, he's 4.3K. He only played 15 minutes. So sign me up again, man. If he gets 26 minutes, he could give me 30, 35 FanDuel points. That's what, 7-8 times his salary? So he actually could be in the winning tournament lineup. I know he doesn't get a lot of minutes, but man, that price, and he's playing so well right now. Terrence Ross, his price did not come up. He's 4K. Sign me up again. I will keep playing. Take Terrence Ross. Last 2 games give me 25, 24 FanDuel points. That's 6 times his salary. That's totally fine. And he has not been making a shot yet. So all he's got to do is make a couple more threes, and he'll be putting up 30, 35 FanDuel points. So I don't mind that. Torian Prince just sitting down here staring at me. I don't know what to do with this guy. He's still playing like 30 freaking minutes a night. So look, I'm throwing out lots of lineups these days because it's just that time of year for NBA DFS. I'll play a little bit of Prince. If he's going to get 30 freaking minutes, he's 3.9K. Again, like in my lineups that have Harden, that's what you need to do. So my lineups that have Harden, that's where I'll play the Princes and the Rosses and guys like that. And the Paul Zipsers, another guy you can play. Power forward. So Anthony Davis is 10.6K. It's too expensive. But yeah, sign me up. I mean, I'm going to have one lineup of Drew. First of all, I will stack this game. I will have a Drew Holiday, Anthony Davis lineup. I will have a Drew Holiday Cousins lineup. I mean, there's no one that will be able to defend Anthony Davis for Houston. So they should run every play through him or Cousins. So could Cousins and Anthony Davis both put up big numbers? Yep, they could. Jokic is 10.1K on FanDuel. I think it's on. Someone told me on DraftKings his price is better. Let me see. God, I hate check. See, this is what I mean, man. Giving you prices on both. I wish I had an easier way to find out the prices on both sites. So on DraftKings, he's 9.4K. Yeah, and by the way, Anthony Davis is 9.8K. So both those guys are priced a little bit better on DraftKings. Jokic is in a really good spot. You know, Miles Turner is like 19 years old, so he's going to he's going to struggle to defend Jokic, but he's just so expensive. I don't know. I just don't love it. It's just so freaking expensive. So if I play if I have 10 lineups, I probably have 20% exposure to Jokic, maybe 30%. A power forward's got other guys that are decent plays, and I think it's going to be a position that I try to save as well. So, yeah, I'm not sure. Kevin Love 7.6K. I like the price. Look, he's going to win someone a tournament before the year's over, and they got to up the minutes. They got to see coming into the playoffs. You think they want to get him at least 1 or 2 games where he plays a full allotment of minutes, and the Cleveland. You'd think they'd want to try to win a game or two, right? So Kevin Love's like an 8.5K player when he's fully healthy and getting his full allotment of minutes. So it's a really fair price. It's bargain shopping if he could play 32, 34, 36 minutes. And he's allegedly healthy right now, so they just got to keep the game close, which they should against Charlotte. And we like attacking Charlotte big. So Kevin Love, it's kind of a sneaky under-the-radar play, I think. Saric. So Saric, kind of like Covington, really killed me last game. I tried to play both those guys. OKC just destroyed Philadelphia. So I like Saric again. I like recency bias. Chicago, man, who's going to defend Saric for Chicago? Portis. I mean, Mirotic. So Saric's in a good spot. Not cheap, but it's okay. Marvin Williams, I'm just not going to do it on this slate. So if you guys want to play Marvin, go ahead. I will not be. Holmes is still 5.9K on FanDuel. And again, if Okafor is playing, he got 16 minutes last game. So if Okafor plays, he's virtually unplayable. Frank Kaminsky, 5.7K. If you watch the last Charlotte game, Kaminsky was really bad the first 3 quarters. In the fourth quarter, he was tremendous. For the game, he only had 26 FanDuel points. That's where, if you just look at the box score, you won't understand it. He was tremendous in that fourth quarter. Man, he was great. He's getting like 30, close to 35 minutes a night right now, and Charlotte's basically out of playoff contention. I see no reason why they don't give him all the minutes in the world. So it's somewhat of a sneaky play. He's not cheap, but if this was a 5-game slate, I probably would like it more. It's not. It's fine though. I don't mind it. Marquise Chris, his price is it's only 5K. And again, remember the difference in this Phoenix-Boston game is all the Phoenix guys are going to get big minutes regardless of the score, right? Whereas if Boston blows them out, their big top guys are only going to get 28 minutes. So Chris at 5K, yeah, I mean, we like to attack Boston bigs anyway, right? Chris was tremendous on Thursday, so I don't mind that play. That's too cheap for him. Ersan Ilyasova and Mirotic. So I've been playing a lot of these two guys. Mirotic went nuts last game for 44 FanDuel points. He's an elite play again. I don't know why his price didn't go up on FanDuel. That makes 0 sense to me. Let me see if his price went up on DraftKings. It probably did. Of course it did. It's 5.4K on DraftKings. So that makes him a little bit tougher to play on DraftKings. He's still a tournament play because if he has a big night, he's going to take a lot of shots. And he can make a lot of shots. Now, for the season, he's one of the captains of Magic Mountain. He shot the ball horrifically like the entire freaking year. Against Detroit, though, out of the blue, 28 points. That's the most he's had since when? That may be the most he's had since entire freaking year. So do I see 44 FanDuel points again? No, but it's an okay tournament play. And again, we like to attack Philly bigs, right? So it's fine. Ilyasova. Look, man, I will go back to the well again on this. We like to attack Bucks bigs, and he's still getting like 26, 28 minutes a night. Like he's the thing is he's not killing your lineup. He hasn't been great yet. He's giving you 20, 21 FanDuel points, but he's still cheap. He's 4.7K. So it's fine. Has he been in the winning tournament lineup yet? No, he hasn't. But could I envision it? I could. Now, one thing I will say is that they're not using him properly. Philly used him a lot better as a stretch 4. He got a lot of open looks. He's not getting a lot of open looks for Atlanta. The usage rate has not been great. Dennis Schroeder is a disgusting point guard in terms of he doesn't look to pass the ball a lot. So Ersan's not getting the ball in a lot of his favorite spots. I thought Coach Bud is a really good coach. You'd think he would have ran some plays for Ersan. They're really not doing that. That troubles me a little bit. But I will play that mother effer again. He's his whole career. Defensively, he stinks, but both those guys do, Mirotic and Ilyasova. But they're both fantasy point per minute monsters. Thad Young, this is a game that the young, healthy Thad Young would thrive at. He thrives an up and down game. He's not really offensively skilled. He just stumbles around and gets the steals and blocks and assists and some points. So maybe against Denver, if he's so cheap, 4.6K, no one's going to play him. Ryan Anderson's he's for free. He's 4.2K. Yes, he can't shoot at home. He's been bad at home all year long. But if you're playing lots of lineups, you can throw him in one. I guess that's about it. I guess Hernangomez for Denver, we really can't play him anymore with Wilson Chandler back. All right, center. Cousins, 9.3K. That's just too cheap. It's almost close to a lock and load for me. The problem is with the Pelicans, he's been really bad. I mean, he's been in foul trouble like every freaking game. Now, against Memphis, he went nuts for 72 FanDuel points. Also, Anthony Davis was dealing with like a flu or some type of illness in that game. Go figure to the freaking Tin Man. But Cousins, that's just too cheap. Like, if they just give him the ball, if he stays out of freaking foul trouble, out of his own way, he should smash. So, yeah, love the play. Vucevic against Sleepy Drummond. Sleepy Drummond against Vucevic. Two of the worst defensive centers facing off head-to-head in this Magic Mountain Marathon matchup. Dear God, honestly, my head's going to explode thinking about watching Vucevic and Drummond go head-to-head. I mean, oh, my God. Wow. I will play the exact same lineup and have one in each. If I had to choose, I choose Vucevic because at least he'll be awake. But, man, both those guys, they are so bad defensively. Ugh. Brook Lopez, normally I wouldn't want to play him. I only want to play him because he's coming off such a bad night and the ownership's going to be so down because he killed a lot of us against Phoenix. He only played 25 minutes. So, if you watch Brooklyn play, and Brook Lopez is on the perimeter so freaking much. God, he jacks up so many threes. It's like a freaking point guard. Man, it's just, 2 rebounds a night, Brook Lopez. Dwight Howard, I mean, we're in Atlanta, right? We're in Atlanta. Dwight Howard gets Milwaukee bigs. Dwight put up 40 FanDuel points last night against Washington. So, I don't hate the play. He's been relatively safe for a couple weeks now. The problem is center's loaded. Center's always like one of the best positions. So, can you envision him being in like the winning tournament lineup? It's hard to see that. It's also hard to envision him destroying your lineup. I mean, he's gonna probably give you a somewhat of a double-double. It's probably not going to be a blow your mind double-double, but it'll probably be like 14 points, 14 rebounds, something like that. The Bucks, man, they're really bad defending bigs. Miles Turner, I always play Miles Turner in a tournament or two. 4 of the last 5 games, he's been over 30 FanDuel points. I think I played him on Wednesday, and he was 2% owned, 3% owned, something like that. He's always overlooked. So that as a tournament player, that makes me love him. Also, Jokic is going to struggle to defend him. Turner is offensively supremely quick, skilled, can go out on the perimeter. So he can dance around Jokic a little bit, maybe possibly even get Jokic in foul trouble. The problem is a lot of times, and I know a lot of you guys were very quick to point this out to me on Twitter because you guys love to do it. Turner can get off to good starts and then like never see the ball again. Indiana does not do a good job of getting him the ball whatsoever. So it can never be an elite play. But I do love the pace. Like his style of game fits the pace of that game. Big Sauce Williams. So he's killed us two nights in a row for different reasons. Tournament play. Big Sauce freaking Williams. Maybe we should ask the Vegas man what he thinks. Clint Capella. Clint Capella's been sneaky good. 30 FanDuel points or so the last two games. Like 4 of the last 5 games, basically right around there. He doesn't even need a lot of minutes. Now, not the best matchup in the world against Cousins. Also, maybe Houston plays Nene or some other bum. I don't know. So I don't love that play. It's fine, though. Cody Zeller. I don't really want to play a Zeller on this slate. It's not horrible, though. He's still getting – he's a bumble, stumble, fumble. He'll get you 20, 25, 30. 30's his max FanDuel points. Robin Lopez coming off a 1-game suspension. What do we like to do? Attack Philly bigs, right? So I have to play me at least one Robin Lopez lineup. Whoever's up against Okafor, you have to play. So yes, I will play Robin Lopez. The price has come up a little bit, but Okafor defense is that bad. And conversely, do I think Okafor is in a decent spot? Somewhat. No one's going to play him because he's been somewhat banged up, and he's become like a meme. Everyone's making fun of him. If he has some pride, you think he would come out and have a good game. So Okafor is a sneaky ninja play of the day. Now, we got to make sure he's healthy. He only got like 17 minutes last game. But if he does play, he'll be like 1% owned. So that, by definition, makes him sneaky, right? And by the way, Robin Lopez, have you ever tried to watch him play defense, or his brother? They can't move. Like, they cannot. It takes them an hour to run up and down the court. Okafor is somewhat athletic. So this is a really good spot for Okafor. Wow, Gortat's like under 5K. Gortat barely plays some games now. I mean, whatever. I mean, against Brooklyn. So yeah, in a tournament, you can do it. If he gets minutes, he could smash. He's like, I mean, a lot of these Washington guys, man. Like, I mean, they're Otto Porter some games doesn't play right now because you got Bogdanovic. Jason Smith plays for Gortat. You got Mahimni in there. Washington's doing some weird things. Alex Len. So we like to attack Boston bigs, right? So Len's been good the last 2 games. 3 of the last 4 games, he's been over 30 Fando points. So, yeah, I don't mind it. That's about it. I guess, yeah, that's about it. I'm probably not going to play some Lavernia with Robin Lopez back. All right, we made it through. I think I failed. I really failed at my mission. I did not keep the show to an hour again. Dear God, next show I have to keep to an hour, guys. I must do it. Need to find a way. All right, that's it. That's the show. Hopefully you made some money on Thursday. Hopefully you can achieve glory on Friday. If you have any questions, tweet at me at Daniel A. Green 1. Remember, if you made the NCAA Judges Chambers bracket, you'll be hearing from me. But from the bailiff, from the judge, court is adjourned.